What's going on, everybody? This is Captain Obvious. You guys are the 11 crew, and today I am going to share a little story with you guys. Those of you that are here for Minecraft, there's going to be no Minecraft in the background. If you do not want to listen to the story, I totally understand. Please click off right now. No hard feelings whatsoever. For the rest of you that are interested, continue playing a game maybe and just keep me in the background and listen. And yeah, here's my story. So, those of you that know me on Twitter know that on August 28th, Tuesday, I had a very, very bad day. So I woke up and my leg was really, really hot. Both of my legs were really, really hot from my ankle up to just underneath my knee. And I'm talking about super hot to the touch. That was on the outside. On the inside, it was even worse. It was just burning like I've never felt before in my life. So, I got up, I took an aspirin, right, baby aspirin. I thought that might help with the blood circulation or whatever. And I just went about my day. And about 3 or 4 hours later, my leg had started to swell up, puff up, and it was hard. So it was fatter, but it was also hard. It wasn't like, soft, like you tried to squeeze it and you couldn't. And that terrified me. Now, a lot of you know that I had a kidney transplant in 2014. So first thing you do is I typed into Google what can cause swelling in both legs, not just one, because if it was one, it could be like an embolism, it could be a blood clot, whatever. First thing that comes up is problems with the kidney. So immediately, I'm freaking out. I took myself to the hospital, okay? And the whole time, I'm thinking the worst. And I made a post on Twitter because here's the deal, guys. Like, you get to know your body after you've been through something like that. Like, I got to know when I wasn't feeling right. I got to know when my blood pressure was out of control. I got to know when my kidney wasn't functioning. Like, it's a weird thing, but once you go through all of that, once you've been through kidney failure and you're on your deathbed and you go through all of that stuff, you get to know your body very well. So with the pain, with the heat, I started to feel my new kidney. Okay, the transplanted kidney. And for those of you that don't know, when they do a kidney transplant, unless the kidneys themselves, the ones that are not working, unless they're infected to where they have to come out, they actually leave them in your body. So I have my two bad kidneys, okay, that are just not working, and I have the one that my mom gave me, which she was my donor, and that's actually in my stomach, in my lower abdomen. So like kind of like your pubic region, like right over there, but to the right. So that's where the kidney actually is. You don't feel it on a daily basis. You don't see it. There's no bulge. It's in a cavity. There's a cavity in our body, and they just put it there and they kind of rewire your body. They attach your bladder to that. So that's how that works. So I actually have 3 kidneys, and actually my mom has gave me this poster right after my surgery. It's one of my most favorite things that I own, and it says, "I have 3 kidneys. What's your superpower?" So. It's just really, really cool and really special to me. So anyway, that was the first time I actually felt my kidney yesterday. Like I felt it in my stomach. I felt it like pulsing, and it was not a pleasant experience. It was very, very painful. So I went to the hospital, like I said, and they took me right away. It was fantastic. I literally walk in, they put the name, I was at the counter with the guy giving him my information. He puts the little wristband on me. They go take my vitals, and boom, right in the room. Because, they know, as soon as they hear transplant patient, they know that, and swelling, they know that they got to take you right away. So they put me in a bed. They put my feet up to get my feet higher than my heart. And they gave me a water pill, because a lot of times what happens is that's the reason the legs swell up is because it's water retention. You're retaining water. Maybe salt or whatever the case may be. So they started doing blood tests on me, and I made a post on Twitter saying I have a feeling it's my kidney, and obviously everybody tries to stay positive and think positively, but when you're in the situation that I'm in, there's no positive. You can't think positively. You have to think realistically. It's not about positive or negative. It's about reality. Right, so I had a feeling what was going on. So the doctor comes back about 45 minutes, maybe an hour later, and with the blood results, and and urine. They take your urine too, and basically there is protein in my urine. Protein should not be in your urine along with blood, and there were traces of both, but the protein was really high. So what does that mean? As soon as she said it, I knew what it meant, because I've been through all this before. This is not a new road for me. You know what I mean? This is something that I've had to live with since I got diagnosed in 2009 with my condition. And for those of you that are interested, it's called Berger's disease. That's the quick way of saying it. But the actual condition is called IgA nephropathy, not neuropathy. Neuropathy is different. Nephropathy. And basically what it means is, short version, it means that my body treats my kidney like a foreign object, and it started attacking both of them. So that's why my kidneys failed the first time around. Now, it is a super rare condition, very, very rare condition, and I also have something else on top of that, but that kind of aggravates it. Kind of the same thing. It goes along with the kidney. But the Berger's disease, that's the real. I could have lived with the other one. This one that's the one that really destroyed my kidney. And I was told, okay, that it's not something that comes around. It's something that happens from both of the kidneys. So the kidneys themselves caused this disease in me that I got in my mid-20s, which, by the way, at the time in 2009, I was the youngest person that had ever been diagnosed with it. It's normally men. It's normally men get this, and it's normally men in their like late 40s, early 50s, and above that get it. So I was the youngest, which was a double-edged sword for me. It was good because since I was so young, it was going to be easier for me to recover, but it sucked because it meant that I get a disease that, you know, people in the later part of their life get when they're all ready to retire and stuff. So it was devastating then, okay, because back then, that was when, you know, all through my 20s and 18 and up, I was an athlete. I played sports. I did everything. I kept myself fit. I ran 5 miles a day. I worked out. I had the abs that people want because, you know, I dedicated a lot of time to being fit and staying healthy. And for about 3 years leading up to my 29th birthday, I was very, very tired. I started getting, I couldn't do the stuff that I wanted to do, and you know, regular checkups were giving me different results. They were telling me it was, you know, a virus, and I kept switching doctors because I wasn't happy with, you know, with what I was getting, or with the results I was getting. And this went on for about 3 years, and then finally, when I was 29, the right doctor said, "No, this is not a virus. Like, if it keeps it, I think this is your kidney." So they sent me to a nephrologist, which is a kidney doctor. I had the biopsy. Okay, and what a biopsy is, I'm sure a lot of you may have had it if you've gone to like dermatologist, right? You know, they scrape your skin. And I've had biopsies for like moles and stuff in the past and things like that, and it's nothing. A kidney biopsy is a lot different. I mean, it's essentially the same practice, but what they do is they take this huge needle. It is the longest needle you're ever going to see, okay? And they can only numb a certain amount of layers down because they can't take the chance that you can't numb the kidney. It'll, you know, it's not good for it. It'll stop. So they can only go so many layers down, and then you feel the needle through your skin, and then you feel it scraping. Because what happens is it's a needle that has like a little tiny saw on the end of it to kind of just like scrape a little piece of your kidney off, right? And then it has like a clamp. So think of those like extendo arms that kids have where you press the button and it clamps down. It's kind of like that with a serrated edge, but on a microscopic level, like a really, really small level on the tip of the needle. And that's what they stick inside of you. Now, when I had it done, I was at a hospital that is also a training hospital. So the person that was doing it to me had never done one before. And I had to sign a waiver and agree to it. And I said, yeah, you know what? People have to learn somewhere, right? I don't mind. I have a high threshold for pain. So normally it's supposed to be one shot. They go in, they scrape it, and they're done. 4 tries. This lady tried 4 times to scrape my kidney, and I felt it. And it was not pleasant. So what happened is after that 4th try, the the numbing medication, because it's a long process. It's not just like they stick it in. They have to like aim it. It takes a long time. So in between each one it's several minutes. And the numbing agent started wearing off, and they had other people lined up. So my doctor, who was there the whole time watching, said, you're gonna have to come back and do this another day. And I'm like, I'm not going through this again. Just do it. And she's like, are you sure? And I'm like, just do it. So when she did it, there was basically no numbing. I felt the entire thing going through my body. She scraped the kidney, she pulled it out, and she showed it to me in like a little, not like a test tube, like a little mini, well, kind of like a test tube, I guess, but like a mini tube that had a little cap on it, just floating there, just like a little brown speck. But I felt it. And then what you have to do is you have to lay straight on your back for 8 hours afterwards, because they have to monitor you for internal bleeding. And you can't move at all. You're not allowed to move. So I had to lay there still for 8 hours. One of the worst experiences in my life. It was, even though it was a super quick scrape, you felt it. It was something that pulsated throughout your kidney, right? So I had the biopsy. It got confirmed. So what they were looking for was scar tissue. The scar tissue from where my body was basically attacking it, right? It was leaving these scars all over my kidneys, and they found a lot of it. And through the biopsy, through the CT, was it CT scan? I don't remember. Some kind of body scan. I think it was CT scan. Although I think CT scan is only for your brain. Whatever. They put me through that little tube, and they were scanning, and blood work and urine testing. They discovered that in 2009, my kidney was already pretty far gone. It was already. I mean, it was still doing mostly what it had to do, but it was still pretty far gone because I hadn't gotten diagnosed before, And here's the funny thing: it's not like even if I had gotten diagnosed earlier, you can't stop it. You can slow it down some. Like had I gotten diagnosed in 2007, and maybe I wouldn't have had my transplant until 2016, but I still would have needed one. That's the end game still remains the same. So cut to now, okay. Cut to yesterday, or the 28th, depending on when you're listening to this. The doctor said, since you have protein in your urine again, you're going to have to get another biopsy. And that's on my new kidney. Okay, the one that's in my stomach. So the first one was, my normal kidneys when I had to lay on my stomach. This time, it's going to be a different experience because it's going to be in my stomach. So that's going to bring its own, levels of pain and complication and how I'm going to lay and stuff. I imagine I just have to lay on my back, but you never know. Depending on where it's laying, I might have to sit up or sit back. I don't know. So I kind of know what to expect, but it's a little bit different this time around. But again, like I said, it's not a fun thing to go through. So I'm going to have to be on my back again for another 8 hours. Or who knows? This is a new hospital. This is actually the better hospital. This is the hospital where I had my transplant. It's the number 2, according to those those stats that are out there, however they get those. It's the number 2 kidney hospital in the whole world. So I live in New York City, and it's right here, so it's great. It's fantastic. The doctors were amazing. It's just phenomenal, right? So I need another biopsy. And what does this mean? Does this mean I'm going to need a transplant immediately? What does that mean? I know that there was a lot of questions yesterday. People were, I guess, a lot of people were asking me what happened the first time around. So I was explaining the whole transplant process, and I think people assumed that meant I need one immediately. So the answer is I don't know. I don't know, because the whole deal is when I got my transplant, right, me and my mom were a perfect match. So much so that the doctor who did it on me, he had been doing them for 35 years, 36 years, something like that. It was over 30. It was over 32. I know that. And he had never seen such a perfect match. We were like 99.99999% a match. It was basically like me getting my own kidney. That's how amazing it was. The Journal of Medicine came and did a story on me and my mom because of how well, we had no idea what that meant. But all I know is when I woke up from my surgery, right? First of all, getting the transplant was the easiest part of this whole thing. I don't mean like waiting for it. I mean like the actual day of surgery. Easiest thing in the world. They knock you out, you wake up, and for somebody that was so sick for so long, when I woke up, I took from sleep, I took this huge breath. Like it was literally like being born again, because I don't know if you guys understand like what a kidney actually does. It's so vital to your body. It's like heart, brain, kidney. That's the three big boys. And I'll be honest, I would argue that it's more important than your heart, because they have machines now that that can do that for you, and you can't survive that long with a machine doing it for your kidneys. You need the real thing. And it's so important that when I came out, I got on disability automatically. There are people that have heart attacks, that have heart disease, that have to jump through hoops to get disability. I got disability immediately because that's how they know that kidney disease is such a big deal. And your kidneys filter stuff out of your body, right? That's what they do. It filters all the bad stuff out of your body. And without it working, what happens is chemicals and just stuff that shouldn't be in your blood is in your blood. So what happens is your skin starts to itch all over the place because it's poison. It's poison in your body, and it affects your breathing. It literally affects your breathing. It affects your heart. Your heart rate is elevated. Your breathing. You get stuff in your lungs all the time. My oxygen level was like, I had to be on an oxygen mask towards the end, the last month right before my surgery. I couldn't get out of bed. I was exhausted because, again, your body it's not blood. It's mostly poison in your body. My body was turning septic. So if you guys ever heard of sepsis, that's basically what was happening. Every ounce of my body was itchy from head to toe. The breathing was so labored. It was scary at times. I thought I was honestly going to not be able to breathe anymore. It was the energy level. I'm telling you guys, it was like there was just nothing. I couldn't muster energy to get up and do anything. My son was 3 at the time. I couldn't hug him. I couldn't hold him. I couldn't do anything. And it was rough. So I was on dialysis, okay, and there's different kinds of dialysis, okay? There's just the basic dialysis that everybody thinks of, where they put, they go through, I forget the whole I didn't actually have it, this kind, so I forget what it's called, but I think it's hemo something, I forget. But they do this, they have to put this thing in your arm and let it sit for a couple of days or a week or whatever, and it basically is like a blood patch where that's where they stick the tube in and they filter your blood. And you have to go to a dialysis clinic 3 to 4 days a week. I think you skip a day. It's like you go, you skip, you go, you skip. But it's a huge process. It's 8 hours, right? And you have to do this religiously. And I was like, that's a huge commitment. I can't dedicate 8 hours a day to this. Like, this is nuts. So I found out about another option, which is called peritoneal dialysis, which is what I had. And it takes that cavity that I was talking about in your body. It's called the peritoneal cavity. And it's in your lower abdomen on the right. And what they do is, it was a surgery. I had to go in and, get knocked out. It was a surgery. And they insert a tube, okay, into this cavity. And what you do is you get a solution, right? There's 3 different levels of solution. There's one that's like a smaller solution. There's one that's a medium solution, and this is just in terms of the strength of the solution. And then there's the larger one, right? So what I had to do, I had to actually go to a dialysis clinic and get trained in this. And I did it every single day. I had to be there at 7 a.m. in the middle of Manhattan, in the middle of, New York City. And I did this every day for a month. I had to be there 7 a.m. and they were training me. And what I would do is they would hook me up to the nozzle, right? And I would use a bag. The solution. You hook it up to the solution. The solution goes into your body, and it's a pretty hefty sized bag. Think of like a medium sized bag of rice, filled with like a solution of water and whatever the medicine is that they have in there. But it's thick and slimy, almost like Vaseline, but a little more liquidy, and it goes inside your body, okay, through the tube. And when it's sitting in your body, because you have to cap it, you have to put the cap on the tube. It's called dwelling. Okay, it's called dwelling, and it dwells in your body. And what it does while it's sitting there, it actually is sucking out the bad stuff from inside your body. It's amazing how they do it. I don't know I don't really know the science behind it, but it's sucking out all of the stuff in your blood through this solution in your stomach. Okay, and you have to dwell for a certain amount of hours. I had to change the bag 4 times a day. Okay, so it's not a pretty process. But what it did give me is the freedom to do it at home. So once you graduate from this little program, and they are confident that you know how to do it yourself, because there's a lot of cleaning involved. You got to make sure you sterilize your hand. Because as soon as you open that tube, there's basically a hole going into your body. It's so you have to do it quickly. You have to do the transfer from the bag to the cap in the nozzle very, very quickly. And the tube itself became like, you didn't see it through my clothes or anything like that. It became very easy to hide. You just tape it down. Obviously I couldn't take my shirt off in public. It's a bit of a mind, excuse my language, but it's a bit of a mind fuck. You get used to it, but it's there, and you are very self-conscious of it. But it did allow me the freedom, right? So once you graduated, you have to place an order. Now, it's not something that auto generates and auto comes. You have to actually call this company, and you have to place an order for however many boxes you want. And these boxes, guys, were huge boxes. Right, we're not talking something small here. So I actually had to dedicate an entire room to these boxes, right? Because they were huge. So I literally had an entire room in my house just for medical supplies, and I would get 20 to 30 of these boxes every week would be delivered to me. Every single solitary week would be delivered to me, and I used to place an order based on how I was feeling. So if I was feeling very, very, low that week, I'm like, I need the bigger bags. I need the high solution. And it would basically suck a lot out. So how it would work when you drain yourself, right? You hook up the tube the same way, and it sucks into this bag. You have an empty bag, and it basically just drains into the bag. And it just uses gravity. So you put it on the floor with this long tube connected to your body, and it would just drain. But the whole thing is, it's a suction inside your body, and it's extremely painful. And I actually made a comment one day saying that I think it would be worse than what women go through for childbirth. So I was in the clinic one day, because I still had to go to the clinic even after I graduated. I still had to go once a week. I had to go once a week. I usually did it on Mondays, 7 a.m. And that was just to get my vitals taken and all of that stuff and see how I was doing. But I would also meet a lot of really great people in different stages of the whole transplant process. And I met this one lady, and I asked her, about childbirth. And she's like, I had 4 kids, and I would have a baby any day over going through this. Because the whole deal is, I'm carrying this water, this solution in my stomach, and it's pressing down on everything. It feels like you're pregnant. Like it's on there. It's making you have to go to the bathroom all the time. But doing the suction 4 times a day, and the suction could take, anywhere from 15 minutes to 30 minutes to drain out of you, but it's sucking the whole time. So it's pain inside your body. And this is a daily thing. This is not like childbirth where it's just the one day. I was carrying the solution with me, and the lady's like, trust me when I say this to you, the pain is very, very similar. So, I always joke and say that I know what childbirth feels like. That's a debate that people can go back and forth. It doesn't really matter. The point is, it's painful. It's a very painful process. I had to do it 4 times a day, every day for 6 months. And the thing with the solution and the thing with my condition is, I didn't have the transplant at this point, and I only had 2% kidney function. 2. That's it. So this solution was supposed to do the trick for me, and it just wasn't. I got, by the end, I was doing only the heavy solutions. And I did graduate to a machine. Okay, so after like 2 months, they saw that my body was responding to it well, and they gave you this machine, and what that meant was I didn't have to do the 4 changes a day. I only had to do 2. So I'd hook myself up overnight to this machine that would sit next to me on a nightstand, and overnight it would do the changing. It would suck in, it would fill up. You attach 2 clean bags to it, right? There's like the machine had 4 spots. It had the 2 draining bags, and 2 solution bags. So it would change itself over after a few hours, right? So during the middle of the night, it would just do everything for me, which was great because then I was able to sleep through the pain. But it started not working for me as it did in the beginning. In the beginning, it was very successful, and then as my kidneys just basically got to 0% function, it wasn't doing much for me. I noticed the Charlie horses were coming back, because I would also get really bad Charlie horses, like super, super painful, and it was, everything was coming back, the itching. It was just really, really bad. And like I said, the energy level was gone. So it was just a horrible. I mean, I was bedridden. I couldn't really leave the house much. Like even in the beginning, I didn't really leave the house much. Again, because of the whole tube is very self-conscious. But then towards the end, I just didn't have the energy. I don't think I went out for almost 4 months unless it was the doctor's appointment. I would just, muster the energy to get up. A lot of times my wife had to hold on to me to get me to stand up, and I'd go to the hospital, and as soon as I got there, they would put me in a wheelchair and, take me to see the doctor. But it was rough. It was really, really bad. And then I got the transplant, and it was great. But the transplant, again, was so perfect. The doctors told me that I wouldn't have to worry about any of this stuff again. I wouldn't even have to worry about my kidney even starting to fail for 30 to 40 years. That's what I was told. 30 to 40 years. So I had my transplant in December of 2014, and we are now in August still of 2018. So it's been less than 4 years, and now there's protein in my urine. So what that means is my kidney is starting to fail. Still in the very, very early stages of it. But here's the whole thing: when you have a transplant, right? It's not your kidney to begin with, so your body automatically tries to fight it. So you take these pills every day. They're immunosuppressants, and it's basically doing exactly what it says. It's suppressing your immune system. So what does that mean? That means I get sick all the time, which is why in my videos you guys always hear me say, "Oh, I'm sick today." If somebody sneezes in the UK, I get sick. That's just the way it works. That's my life. I get to live, but I get sick all the time. So that's also why I'm on disability. Like, there's a lot of reasons, but getting sick all the time is one of them. I can't be around like a ton of people. It's just I will get sick. It's almost like being isolated all the time without actually being isolated. If that makes sense to you guys. But so my kidney should not be failing under 4 years. It just shouldn't at all. I've taken my pills that they've given me. I go to all my appointments, and they measure this thing. It's called creatinine, not creatine, creatinine, and that measures how well your kidney's functioning. So right now, a normal person's kidney would be between 0 and 50, 0 and 0.5 creatinine. That would be normal, and mine right now is a 1.3. When I was in total kidney failure, my creatinine was a 17 point something. It was just, that's like unheard of. That's like near death kind of. That basically means that there's just junk in my body. There's no blood. It's just garbage at that point. So that's what the creatinine. You guys can look it up. You guys can look up exactly what it does, but that's what they measure to determine kidney function. That and BUN, which is blood urethra nitrogen. It's like the nitrogen that's in your blood, which was also very, very bad at the time. So now that there's protein spilling into my urine, I have to have this biopsy to determine if it's my disease attacking the kidney again, or if it's just regular kidney failure or rejection. If it's rejection, they can give me medicine to help slow it down. But again, once this starts happening, you can't stop it. So am I going to have a transplant in the next year? There's no way to determine it right now because this already hit a lot faster than I thought. They told me, 30 to 40 years, and they said 30 to 40, or I may never need another kidney because of how good it was. That is what they said. And I said, are you sure? And they said, easily 30 to 40 years. And this was several doctors saying this to me. So when I shed my tears yesterday, it was literal shock. It was literal just shock, and all the emotions I had from the first time around coming back and getting me, because this is not a road I wanted to be on again. Going to more doctor's appointments than normal, having to up my meds again, having to, make sure every day that my creatinine is in check, make sure every day that there's not protein, in the blood. And the funny thing is, there wasn't that much bubbles. I don't mean to get like super graphic or anything, but when you pee, especially as a guy, you're looking at it. If your pee has a lot of bubbles, it's protein. That's what that is. It's protein in your pee. And everybody has bubbles now and then, but I would have. It was foamy. Like that's how it gets. It's like a froth, almost like when they give you coffee and they put a little whipped cream on top. It's frothy. That's how bad it was when I was really sick. So my pee has been really good. Like I haven't even had bubbles, so I wasn't expecting that, right? So when they first had me do the test yesterday, when they first had me pee in a, in a little container yesterday, it was super, super frothy again. And I was like, oh my God. It wasn't like this the last couple days. So literally just, boom, hit overnight, which is very strange. And I was promised that my disease was not going to come back, that it was only attached to those kidneys. Those kidneys are the thing that started it. But again, it's such a understudied condition that what I have. They don't know a lot about it, and I didn't really buy their promise that they made me. I remember talking to my family, and I was like, I just don't believe it. Like, if I have a disease, how is it not going to affect any kidney I have? So the biopsy is going to determine, is there scars on it? Is there scar tissue again that's already able to be seen, or is this just natural rejection? And again, it can up my meds, but it's not going to. It'll slow down the process, but it's not going to stop it. And there's a lot of ways to treat it. But the ultimate end game, again, it looks like at this point, is going to be a transplant. So whether that's next year, whether that's 5 years, whether that's 10 years, it's still a hell of a lot earlier than what I was promised. And I'm not really ready to go down this road again. I know I have to. I know it's what I got to do. But you guys don't understand the battle. You guys don't understand the fight. And you don't understand what it does to both your psyche and to just your physically every day. Again, it's the transplant is the easy part. Everything leading up to it is what's difficult. Even the dialysis part, like, by the time I got to that point, I was just so in transplant mode. But my kidneys were so gone at that point. You guys don't understand what it's like to I mean, I'm sure a lot of you suffer with your own ailments. I shouldn't say you don't know what it's like, but for this specific thing, the kidney, since it affects every single part of your body, since it filters and then all that stuff that's in your body goes everywhere, it is a total body thing. Like, I'm going to be in pain all the time again, and on top of being sick, I'm gonna have moments where I struggle to breathe, and it's a long road. It's a long road. So those tears yesterday were genuine tears. I make no apologies for emotion, not that you ever should, but I make no apologies for that. That was just shock. That was literal shock and understanding the road that's ahead. It could be that my kidneys failed in less than a year. It all depends on how aggressive whatever this is right now is. So I get the biopsy. Obviously, they're going to increase my meds. and we go from there. But the amount of well wishes and love and prayers. I know a lot of you guys know that I'm an atheist, right? I don't believe in religion or prayers or any of that stuff, but I do respect it very much. I understand what it means to you guys who do it. So when you pray for me, while the prayers themselves don't mean anything to me, what it means to you comes across to me. So I still appreciate it. So and I accept anything right now that's positive sent my way, because mentally I'm not in a good place at the moment. I'm just not. I'm not. When you're told something's gonna be okay for 30 to 40 years, and you're thinking you're gonna be an old man by the time you got to deal with it again, and now it comes back around just a few years later, you kind of lose hope, because at that point it's like, well, what is another transplant gonna do? If I have the most perfect transplant I could ever imagine and ask for, and that's not working, what is another transplant gonna do? Because here's the deal: there's so many people that have complications with their transplants, right? That that every day is like, it's almost like they didn't even get one. They have so many complications, and then first of all, there's so many matches that you have to, before you can be a donor. You get these extensive batteries of tests, and I mean, nothing too invasive, but enough, and you have to pass all of these different barriers to be you know what I mean? Like 100 people could try and be a donor for me, and all 100 may not be able to be. They look for something so specific. That's why family members are usually the ones to do it. And for me to have a perfect match, and everybody's oohing and ahhing, all these doctors are super impressed, and I didn't know what any of that crap meant to me. I just knew I could breathe again, and I felt amazing. So that's all I cared about. But to them, this perfect match was everything, and they're making all these promises to me. And less than 4 years, and now this whole journey begins again. It feels like 2009 to me all over again. That's what it feels like. And if you did the math, 2009 I got diagnosed, 2014 I had the transplant. So my outlook has to be bleak at this point. I can't think positively, because I'm not gonna. When I think positively, I get the emotions that I had yesterday. It's that shock. I don't want to be shocked. I want to be hopeful, but I live in reality. I've always told you guys that. Hope and dreams and all that stuff is fantastic, and it makes people feel good. But that's probably why I don't believe in religion, because I'm a facts person, factual things. I don't do anything based off of a belief. So I can't focus on what I hope it is right now. I can only focus on the what is. And at the moment, there's a problem with my kidney. Not a problem. My kidney is failing, and I got to have this biopsy. So Thursday, which is tomorrow for me, or the 30th of August, I will go to my doctor. We will evaluate. He'll run some more tests, evaluate my legs and everything, because they're still very hot today. And then we will schedule the biopsy. And then whenever I'm going to schedule it for the earliest date that I possibly can, because I just want it over with. And we'll take it from there. Adjust my medication, and then it's just a monitoring process. That's it. It's just let's just monitor it and see how it goes. And that's really all I can do at this point. But it feels like 2009 for me all over again. It feels like this whole process is just starting over, and because it's all the exact same stuff. It's literally all the exact same stuff happening. The only thing this time that scares me is that if it is the disease attacking the kidneys, right? You got the disease attacking, then you also have the fact that it's a transplanted kidney, and you got my body trying to reject it. So because even with the anti-rejection medicines, it's not like they can't shut off your immune system. They just lower it a lot. So it's going to be a double-edged sword this time. So for me, how fast is this going to go? I'm not thinking 5 years down the line. I'm thinking much less than that. So Anyway, guys, your love and support, like I was saying, is just absolutely overwhelming. I am super humbled by it. You know, I know that I'm just the dude who plays Minecraft, the dude who plays video games, and then on Twitter I'm just somebody who offers advice and a lot of times is going toe to toe with people over my beliefs and my opinions. And you know, I'm just somebody who is super stubborn and but man, I love you all, seriously. It was that was just unexpected yesterday. The love that you guys showed me, holy crap. You know, when I posted that video, and for those of you that don't know what video I'm talking about, if you're still with me at this point, you go to my Twitter, which is, you know, the link is in the description, and you can just see on my feed, and it's a super emotional video. It was actually something that took me 5 tries, and that was the best I could come up with. I could not stop crying in that video. It was really hard to spit out words. And, you know, I was almost not going to post it, but that's not me. I share my whole life with you guys, good and bad. And, you know, the response from that was absolutely just amazing. You know, and again, I wasn't looking for sympathy. I was sharing my life with you guys because I don't know if this is going to affect my channel yet. You know, my channel keeps me sane. It's my escape. It's something that I need to do for myself. Something I'm passionate about. The gaming was what pulled me out of everything the first time. I would stream while I was dialyzing, right? So while the solution was dwelling in my stomach, I would actually be streaming, and all of the great people I met when I was streaming, they helped me through a really bad time. You know, because a lot of people say, well, you got a family. Well, you know what? You kind of feel like you're letting them down. So I kind of distance myself from them. You know, couldn't go to work anymore. I was somebody that was literally working 7 days a week, 6 to 7 days a week, 18 hours a day. That's just how I worked. That's how I rolled. That's how I did it for most of my life since I was a little kid. I've been working since I'm 14 years old. You know, little bag boy, newspaper route, you know, manager by the time I was 17 of a grocery store. Like, that was me. And then it was just nothing. I couldn't do anything, and I just felt like a failure. So I distanced myself from them. So streaming brought me back from that. Gaming holds a very special place in my heart. That's why I take it seriously. I take it so seriously because it helped me seriously. It wasn't just a regular outlet for me. It was literally the outlet, the thing that saved me. It allowed me to escape my reality for a short time, the pain, all the embarrassment I felt for not being able to, you know, take care of my family. It got me out of everything. So for me, that's what gaming is. That's what my channel does. And meeting all of you guys, wow, just incredible. You know, I try to show support and love every single day. And I don't know if I succeed every day, but I know that you guys succeed every day in making me feel like I'm something. You guys do an amazing job of that. And it's not feeding an ego, it's feeding a passion. And I love you guys for it so much. And thank you guys for being there for me. I will obviously keep you guys updated along the way. But again, I don't know how the channel is going to suffer yet. As of right now, it's not. Because even if I go to the doctor's appointments, I'm going to, you know, I go 7 a.m. I have to be there. And I will come home and obviously record. But if you happen to not see a video, just understand that I might be in pain, or I might have had an extended stay in the hospital. Obviously, those of you on Twitter will know, but the rest of you, you know, I apologize for any. Well, not really. I say I apologize, but I don't really mean it, because obviously my health is going to come first, always, or my real life is going to always come first over video games anyway. But I do not want it to affect my channel at all, because this means a lot to me. This is something that I've been working towards for a long time. And yeah, so just bear with me. And you guys are just wow. Seriously. Just wow, you guys are absolutely amazing. It's the greatest community I've ever been a part of. And that's not something that I can ever pay back. And I know you guys say you don't have to pay it back, but I have a lot of pride in things that I do, and I don't really know how to take stuff like this in. It's very difficult for me to not be able to pay it forward, and hopefully I never have to. I don't want anybody to ever go through this, so I don't want to be able to ever pay it forward. But I don't think I could ever pay all of you guys back for the stuff that you've given to me over the last 24 hours. I really can. It means more to me than you guys will ever know. So I apologize for the continued sappiness. It's just super difficult for me at the moment. So if you can bear with me, I appreciate that. Anyway, guys, that's gonna do it for me. Until next time, Captain Ivis out. Peace.